yourself on vacation next summer. What do you picture? I imagine myself reading on a beach with my family. You may picture yourself skiing. We each picture something different in our own minds. So what allows us to imagine ourselves in the future?
Memory, specifically episodic memory, is integral to this process. Episodic memories are memories of things a person feels or does. When you remember what you ate for dinner last Saturday, you are using your episodic memory. Research shows that simulating future events depends on the same neural and cognitive processes as remembering past events.
Memory is the ability to store and retrieve information over time. Everything you experience is encoded into your brain, where it is stored for the future retrieval. Have you ever noticed that certain tricks can help you remember things more easily? That is because the way you think about an event influences the way in which that event is encoded in your brain.
It may help if you think of something visually by drawing pictures or writing it on your calendar. Or it may be better to group the things you need to remember into like categories. Our memory serves an evolutionary purpose because it is built so we can remember more easily the things which help us to survive. That is why it's easier to remember someone's face than their phone number.
Once you have learned an event, it will be stored in your memory so that you can call it back when you need to use it through a process called retrieval. The hippocampus is the area of the brain that encodes memories. Scientists learned the role of the hippocampus through the case of H.M., who had his hippocampus removed in 1953. A side effect of the removal was elimination of all ability to form memories from after the surgery.
Patient KC shows the link between past memories and future plans. KC has no episodic memories of the past, only semantic memories, and when asked to imagine an event that might occur in the future, Casey says that his mind is blank. This is because imagining the future is inextricably linked to memory.
When you are imagining future events, you are also using the hippocampus, the same area of the brain that is vital to memory. Scientists believe that this is because, in order to think about an event in the future, you need to use details from the past. Schachter and Addis developed the constructive episodic simulation hypothesis. This hypothesis formalizes the link between memory and imagining the future. It suggests that the constructive nature of episodic memory must play a role in the constructive activity that allows us to simulate future events.
Like memory, this is likely an adaptive process which has evolved only in humans in order for us to be able to think about our course of action and make an informed decision. It is our ability to simulate future events that lets us think about whether it is a good idea to go to the beach for a vacation or go skiing. We use our memory of the past in order to construct possible outcomes for the future.
When I am thinking about a beach vacation versus skiing in Vermont, I remember the last time I went to the beach. Did I have a good time? How long was the flight? Did I get sunburned? Through our memories of events in the past, we are able to construct an idea of what this vacation in the future will look like and make a decision regarding which option we would prefer.
For the most part, our ability to imagine future events is very helpful to us in everyday life. However, there are a few aspects of our ability to imagine the future which are flawed. These are referred to as maladaptive traits, adaptive aspects of memory and imagination that do not help us. There are 4 main flaws with our ability to imagine the future. The simulations that we create in our brain are unrepresentative, essentialized, abbreviated, and decontextualized.
To say that simulations are unrepresentative means that they capture the most memorable part of an event, but probably not the most typical aspects of that event. For example, your memory of your last trip to visit your family might be altered because of a particularly uncomfortable flight. When you plan your next trip home, you might not be that excited because you are more likely to remember the worst parts of the trip. You are much more likely to remember the best or the worst memories rather than the most typical.
The second error of simulations is that they are essentialized. This means that we can easily picture the important parts of a plan, but often omit the details. For example, when you're planning on going to a baseball game, you will likely use your memory from the last time you attended a game. You will remember how much fun you had, but you are unlikely to remember the huge crowds and long lines. We often predict that a good event will be better than it ends up being, or a bad event will be worse than it turns out to be.
The third failure of prospection is that simulations we create are abbreviated. When researchers asked people to imagine their quality of life if they lost the use of their legs, the participants often stated that their life would be very bad. However, asking people who truly did not have the use of their legs, those individuals gave higher ratings of their quality of life. In thinking about the possibility of a future change, we cannot account for the fact that we will adapt to those changes. While day 1 and even the first month might be very difficult, we are able to adapt and find a quality of life in some very challenging circumstances.
The final flaw in our ability to simulate future events is that simulations are decontextualized. If you are very hungry when you go grocery shopping, you are likely to buy more food with a plan to eat it all in 1 week. However, when the next day rolls around and you've had a meal, you may be surprised and even disgusted to find that you bought 10 single-serving pizzas.
Psychologists are continuing to study how memory and prospection are linked. Hopefully this video gives you some insight into why you can't imagine the future without remembering the past.